So let me first have Col Anurag Awasthi speak. Anurag, are you there? Yes, Anurag, looking forward to seeing you. Thank you. Please go ahead, talk about how BRICS, innovation and technologies can be put together as a subject of today's discussion. Innovation and technologies can be put together as a subject of today's discussion. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much, sir. I hope everybody can hear me.
And 10 minutes, please. Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
You are audible.
All right. General Panu, MERI, thank you very much for having me on this panel to start with semiconductors and how the technologies are going to be shaping BRICS. Before I start, and I will stick to my time of 10 minutes and not try to move beyond that. We have to understand how the BRICS essential ecosystem is going to be shaping up in times to come. Firstly, when you look at BRICS, when we look at BRIC, which started in 2009 and became BRICS in 2010 with with South Africa joining the bandwagon, and thereafter you have the Middle East. We have to look at three major things. The first thing is the economic muscle, as General Panu has brought out very clearly. The second part is energy security. And the third part is strategic influence because of technology. It's as simple as that. So these are the basic three pillars if we speak on BRICS and the grouping of these countries, so to say. Now, when you're looking at these countries, let me give you a little segmented view also, especially for the students who are there to understand that we are looking, when you look at BRICS, you're also looking at 4 continents and the Middle East. You're looking at 35% of the world's landmass. You're looking for 50% of global population, and you're looking at a collective GDP of $31 trillion. 3 and 1, 31. So that's a huge amount of money. Now, in addition to that, you have the trade metrics, which as it is form the very backbone of this entire thing. Now, also before we start with how we are looking at semiconductors in this space, we also have to understand that there are the basic issues of semiconductors in the world, which essentially are three. One is the equipment, which obviously makes these, high-end chips or low-end chips or whatever you want to call them. We will not get into the nanometer paradigm. The second part is the packaging part of it, as to how you package it so that they retain whatever they have. And the third part is, of course, these, the logistics part or the supply chain part and the other issues which are associated, which includes, containerization, cartage, distribution systems, warehousing, climate controls, chemicals and gases. I mean, it's a huge chessboard, which if I start speaking now, I can actually keep speaking till tomorrow morning. Now, in terms of BRICS, I will just keep myself to BRICS. The major people who are looking at semiconductors and critical technologies today in this grouping are essentially China and India. Brazil is not very, attuned to the semiconductor ecosystem as of now. Neither is South Africa, with a little bit of silicon carbide part there. And insofar as Russia is concerned, we will have to discount it because it doesn't form part of the greater calculus of the semiconductor ecosystem. Now, when you are looking at this global map today, as I mentioned to you, that the troika of equipment, the materials, and the supply chains. Insofar as equipment is concerned, bulk of the equipment is made in the United States with nearly, 80% of IPR. When you're looking at the extreme ultraviolet and ultraviolet machines, which are most critical for etching of these major circuits onto a wafer, they are only made in the Netherlands by ASML. So there's essentially monopolistic, or I mean, you could call it an absolute technological hegemony, which the ASML in the Netherlands has. When you're looking at packaging, the packaging behemoths are China. That is what we call the ATMPs. The West calls it OSAT. It is China and some parts of Korea and some part of Malaysia and Singapore. But when you're looking at fabrication or the manufacturing facility, the bulk happens in Taiwan or in Japan or in South Korea and some part of it in Malaysia. Some part of it happens in the United States as well, but that percentage is very less. So because of these three major issues, the entire geographies come into play, and that is why chips basically are more geopolitical than technological. This is the thing which all of you need to understand today. So anybody says, why are we not doing this and why are we not doing that? We also must understand that a single chip today, I'm not getting into any nanometers, etc., and no technological details to bore you, since it's post lunch and you're still focusing on the mouth freshener, as General Panu said. I will stick to a simple analogy that a chip which is there in your mobiles, your smartphones today, the lowest end chip, it circumnavigates the globe 3 times before it reaches you. That is the essence of a semiconductor chip today in terms of geopolitics and geotechnology. So that is what we need to understand. Now, having said that, what are the major issues of collaboration in the BRICS insofar as the semiconductors and these major high-end chips are concerned? The first collaboration which can happen, to my mind, is market access. Market access is trade metrics. It has various issues of free trade agreements. It has various issues of how and when these chips can get into these markets. What are their pricing? What is their scale? What is their cost, etc., etc. The second part is, since China is a very, very major hub of packaging or ATMP, and now also manufacturing a huge amount of legacy chips. I would implore all of you who are sitting there to also look at the Chinese big fund. That is the third tranche has come in now. Please have a look at it. It's an outstanding, unique model of public-private partnership. I don't know how it will happen and how it will go, but it's worth seeing as to how the big fund tranche 3.0, which the Chinese have taken out, will take shape. These legacy chips, especially of the high-end chips of when we are talking about anything beyond 40 nanometers and 65 nanometers and even beyond, which are essential components of washing machines, fans, consumer electronics, various hearables, wearables, industrial equipment, etc., etc. There can be a huge amount of collaboration which can happen insofar as technology is concerned in the BRICS countries. The most important part where a huge amount of collaboration can happen in this technological spectrum is talent and workforce development. We also must understand that, in India, we take out around 1.5 million engineers every year. The earlier part did not have the VLSI or very large scale integration as part of the syllabus. The same thing has been tweaked by the government of India with its varied schemes, a lot of push, the AICTE getting into it, and so on and so forth. So there are private universities and public universities which are looking now at VLSI courses in undergraduate levels and postgraduate levels. And since the volumes are so high insofar as these talent segment is concerned, a huge amount of collaborations within the BRICS in the talent development space can happen. This is a very, very major thing. And we also must understand that because of these simple numerics, India can be and will be, not can be, it will be the talent powerhouse of the world. The fourth area of collaboration in BRICS can obviously, I will not qualify further. All of you are very, very enlightened. Could be on the rare earth metals and various minerals, which are essentially now being controlled by China. You've heard about, the rare earth magnets also, which has been a question and a subject of debate in the recent past. I will not go into too much of technology there. But when you're looking at rare earths, the Chinese mainland is endowed with nearly 35 to 40% of the rare earths of the world. And when you look at the productionization capacities, it is 90% of productionization capacities. In fact, I would get your mind back into history when Deng Xiaoping in 1987 made this profound statement that if Middle East has oil, China has rare earths. See where they've come from there 50 years hence. And now they can strangle the world because they control the maximum repository of the rare earth processing that is more important than extraction. It has its various issues of sustainability, but that's how it goes. Then the most important collaboration which can happen can be in the very stretched supply chains. As I just mentioned to you, the geographies as to where is the equipment, where are the rare earths and metals, where is the logistics, where is packaging, where is fabrication. It's all scattered all over the world. So since it is scattered all over the world, a huge amount of supply chain management can take place. And we are looking at 4 continents, as you just mentioned, insofar as BRICS is concerned. The last part is DPI, or the digital public infrastructure. All of us use, phone pay and Paytm, this, that, and the other. As students of technology, while you are here in MERI, I would implore upon you to please look at DPI not as a financial tool. It is not only a financial tool, it's a tool of governance. It is a tool of governance which can be used into a huge amount of interiors. It's a tool of governance which can be used in areas where the population is not that literate. It is a tool of governance which can be used for faster money transactions in case it is required between the government and the vendor, or the vendor and the vendor, B2B, B2C, G2G, whichever configuration you want to. Now, after I've told you these, basic areas of collaboration, we also must understand there are some pain points. When you're looking at semiconductor space, there is an issue between China and Taiwan, and I would not go deeper into it. So there is an issue there, which you have to keep it in mind, which is a reality. There are some issues between India and China in terms of border disputes, etc. And while they are undergoing a huge amount of shift and change, but there are some issues which still remain, which I think are beyond the purview of this talk. And then, of course, when you're looking at Russia, Brazil, and South Africa, as I mentioned to you, ab initio, the essential infrastructure and the focus on semiconductors in these 3 countries may not be as astute as India or Russia. Now, having said all of this, there is a huge amount of scope for innovation. Now, innovation is what is going to be driving all these things. Of all of things that we've spoken about, we also must understand that India today is the design capital of the world insofar as semiconductors is concerned. More than 20% of designers of semiconductors in the world are here in India. So there's a huge amount of scope of innovation in the design part of the semiconductors. There can be a huge scope of innovation in terms of yield metrics of various things, of various chips which are being fabricated or packaged. We could look at rather, enabling, changes and innovation in technologies like gallium nitride, that is the GaN, or the silicon carbide, which are more greener, have less carbon footprint, can be used on less power sources, have great power metrics, have great access to memories, etc., etc. An important part of innovation in this kind of a domain can also be a huge amount of innovation in green processes, recycling of water, which is very, very essential. Certain renewable energy for power. Because when you look at any fabrication facilities and any, packaging facilities, when you look at these, you're looking at areas of late 90s and early 2000s. And that is a time there was no SDG, there was nothing. So these semiconductor facilities are the biggest carbon footprints on the earth. So there can be a huge amount of innovation which can happen here. Then you can look at innovations in solar and silicon ingots, which will possibly be used to cut the wafers on which the dyeing and etching would take place at a later stage. As General Panus brought out earlier, there can be innovation in fintech. There can be a huge amount of innovation in component manufacturing. And of course, the most important innovation which can come now between the BRICS is the GCCs, that's the global capacity centers, larger servers, the undersea cabling, which looks at huge redundancies and digital resilience of the internet and various telecommunication backbones. And of course, lastly but not the least, since these are all 5 important economies in the world, we can look at a huge amount of innovative startup ecosystem getting together, which can do a lot of things together in terms of incubating technologies, incubating disruptive technologies, incubating chips for a particular weapon system or a particular application or a particular requirement. And I think there's a huge amount of scope insofar as BRICS is concerned in all these 3 things. And I think with that, I rest my case, sir. I think I've crossed my 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Anurag. You brought some very important aspects. And your comment of chips are geopolitical rather than technological is extremely important. The digital public infrastructure is meant for governance, as I think is a very, very relevant point that you made. India being a design capital as far as semiconductor is concerned, I think makes a lot of sense for innovation. And at the end, I noticed that you said power. I think we need storage. We do not have the capacity to store, and that too, you go to the battlefield and you find if there is a power outage and you're going to fight a digital battlefield in a digital environment, you're going to lose out everything. So power, materials, electronics are three things which are extremely important. And global capacity centers that he's spoken about are extremely relevant. But most important thing, Anurag, that you spoke about is the talent development within BRICS. So when I say BRICS, notwithstanding the spelling of it and the meaning of it, there is K missing. And I think K can be put by MERI in it, which is knowledge. And when you talk about knowledge, talent development can be done at MERI for BRICS. And I think we can bring in a lot of sense as far as space is concerned and cyber is concerned. And I think, Anurag, you really made a case for MERI to bring knowledge, that is the K in BRICS, really making it to a building block. So, Anurag, please stay back, listen to what others are saying. We will get you back in the question hour.